Hello and welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where the good news is Barca are back to winning ways. That is essential. That is something that we absolutely had to do today. We had to take care of business. We've beaten Alaves by 3-1 in the end, which is important in La Liga. You know, keep ourselves there, push Real Madrid as much as possible. Now, does that suddenly mean that everything is all okay? You know, we got hammered by Chelsea. Now we've beaten Alaves. Obviously, things are not going to be solved overnight. And in my opinion here, there were some good things today. There are certainly positive things that we're going to talk about. But there are still massive concerns in terms of the performance and in terms of how many clear-cut chances Alaves still created today. So we're going to be talking about all of it. It's coming up for you. Let's do it. Because in terms of the starting lineup that Hansi Flick went with today, I've got to say I was pretty impressed by the lineup from Flick there. I thought there was the right amount of change. I think we did need a little bit of freshness in the lineup following that terrible game in midweek. You know, I really don't even want to think about that anymore. But yeah, we had Rafinha returning to the starting lineup. We're going to be talking about exactly how key he was in today's game. Bernal was a surprise starter there in midfield alongside Casado. Dani Olmo in the number 10. He was much improved in today's game. And along the back line, Martin again was recalled to centre-back with Eric Garcia replacing Koundé at right-back. So in terms of the lineup there, I thought Flick did, perfectly well. I thought the changes were warranted. And I thought we did see some improved displays. However, it was a nightmare start. It was genuinely the worst start that you could possibly have thought of. Following on from midweek, all we wanted here was some reassurance. We wanted to see something from the team bounce back, show us some energy, show us some good spirit. Within 43 seconds of this game, we are losing. And it was just terrible. It was a corner from Alaves, a very basic situation. And basically what happens here is that Marc Casado, he tries to clear the ball at the near post acrobatically. Now that doesn't go well. In the end, the ball ends up going right into our danger area. They're right on the 6-yard line. And then because he's gone to ground, he's also playing everybody on side. So we're over there trying to play the line. We're trying to catch players off even inside our own box. That ain't going to happen. And Alaves suddenly have the lead. And like I say, inside of a minute, it's the worst possible start. You're looking around at the Barca reactions. The fans wasn't really good. Wasn't a good feeling inside the stadium. You're just thinking then, how are we going to respond? How are they going to pick themselves up? They've got a long, long time ahead of them in the game. Can they bounce back from that early setback? Well, what happened next was actually terrible. The response initially was awful from Barca. Immediately after we conceded, Alaves, they get in again. And again, you're looking at the high line, you're looking at, how are we going to stop teams from playing through us? We didn't do it again today. Alaves here, it's one ball immediately after conceding, and they are through on goal again. This one is from a bit of a tighter angle. We managed to just about shut it down, and in the end, the shot goes wide of the target. But the warning signs were there. Really, really poor start to the game from Barca. But luckily, going forward, we were able to pick things up. And in my opinion, the reason for that, it's all about Rafinha. Rafinha today for me played 60 minutes of the game on his return to the starting lineup, and he was the most encouraging part of our attacking play. It's the runs that he makes, it's the positions that he takes up, he stretches the defence as much as possible, and he's just such a dangerous player in and around the penalty area, and he brings some energy. He was the one player out there again today who looked as though, I want to make something happen, come with me, play with me, I am here to do something. And you see right here, for the opening goal for Barca, he actually points ahead, he shows Balde exactly where he wants the ball, he runs into that space, then it's a great cutback from him. He gets into the great area, but he plays a terrific ball across. Now, in the end, Dani Olmo mishits his shot inside the box, but that actually happens because Lewandowski gets a slight touch on it, which takes it away from Olmo. In the end, the ball falls to Lamine. It's in a great position, and he smashes it there into the roof of the net. So it's an important goal, I feel, for Lamine Yamal. Good to get him back on the score sheet as well. And there were a few concerning moments, I would say, throughout this game for Yamal. Again, you're looking at him thinking, is he okay? Is he feeling anything? Is he 100% fit? He actually went down and stayed down for a little bit of time in the first half there, and again, you're worrying about the fitness, but again, he played a lot of minutes today. There's no concern from the Barca bench, at least. They're happy to just leave Yamal out there. But I think if we look for one of the most pivotal moments in this game, one of the game-changing moments, it comes from Joan Garcia. Without his save, I think this game goes differently. I think this could be a very, very different game because yet again, we have to start here. Look at the line. We're on the halfway line and Alaves find their way through. Of course they do. No pressure on the ball. They play their way in. No offside flag. And it's not just once either, because we don't catch them off initially. They make their way in behind. Then Barca actually get themselves back. The defensive line gets themselves back, but they're still trying to catch people offside. Even inside our own box there, we're trying to step up. It doesn't work again. Alaves played the ball right across our penalty area. They are queuing up to finish it. What a save. Genuinely, that is extraordinary from Joan Garcia. He is on the floor and he's able to keep that out there. It is from point blank range. There's power on the finish. He somehow gets his hands up there. Strong, strong hands to the ball to keep that out of the net. It is an outstanding save. Massive, massive moment in the game. And can I draw your attention to something else as well on this play? Because if you actually keep your eye here on the centre-back, Gerard Martin, and the way that he tracks back, or the lack of it, and inside of the penalty area here, he's basically just waiting for Alaves to play that ball across. And he knows he can see two players ahead of him there who he believes are offside. And this again is where the offside trap, it's playing tricks with defenders' minds. They're not defending. They are waiting for a flag. Gerard Martin makes no attempt to stop that ball. He makes no attempt to close down or mark the players that he can see around him who are in incredibly dangerous areas. But he just lets it go. And he's looking over to the sideline. He's thinking any minute now the flag is going to go up. It doesn't go up. It's onside. That could have and easily could have been a goal. And we're just sat there watching it. These defenders are not defending right now. And again, these are big, big problems. This is against Alaves. And we've already seen just a few days ago what happens against better teams. However, this is why that save was so key from Joan Garcia, and credit then, okay, to Gerard Martin, because he's actually the one that starts the move that Barca score immediately after that save. It's a great ball over from Martin. Again, it's Rafinha. He is operating in those pockets. He is looking to get in behind. He is understanding where the spaces are. He's in a great position here. It's another phenomenal cutback here. The weight of pass, the pace on the ball is brilliant into Dani Olmo. I'm sure that Olmo has missed Rafinha because this pass is perfect for him. He's arriving into a great area. And it's a fantastic finish. And this is what I want to see from Dani Olmo. You want that late arrival into the penalty area. He finds space very well. He arrives at the perfect time. And then with the finish, don't think about it. Make it instinctive there. As soon as you see that ball coming in, no touch required, just slams it into the back of the net. And Olmo today was much better. He was much more of an impact on this game. He got the ball. He was getting chances. Okay, he didn't score all of them. There's still, he can be more clinical in front of goal. But I like that he was involved a lot more today. Rafinha certainly helped a great deal more with that. And it should have been 3-1. In the first half, Yamal, to be fair to him, has a great chance in front of goal there. And he does everything right. He makes a great run. He then takes it around the goalkeeper. Absolutely perfect. And I think maybe in the end, it's a bit casual. Does he think, this is an obvious goal? It's going to be easy for me from here. In the end, he actually just puts that one just wide. It sort of goes off the post. And Barca do not go into half-time with a 2-goal lead, because then, right before half-time, and this is the problem, this is what it was all the way through the game. Barca would have one chance, then Alaves would respond. Then we'd open up. Then we'd give them a golden opportunity. Look at this again. It's one ball in behind the high line. And it's another quality chance. They just cut the ball back. It's an easy play. You just sprint down the field, cut it back to your teammate, and it's a scuff finish. And it's lucky for us that goes wide. Eric Garcia as well at the end of this game was really, really struggling. I don't understand why we kept him out there. He took a clear whack to the mask, which I imagine would be very, very painful indeed. It was actually Denis Suarez, the former Barcelona player, who did that. Accidental, we believe. But Eric Garcia went down in real pain. He was actually spitting blood there. And Barca just left him out there. He seemed to be labouring around the field right up until the end of the first half. He did end up going off at half-time. Koundé came on. But yeah, the first half, it was mixed. Both teams had chances. And Barca ultimately were not really convincing. There was also another sub at half-time for Barca, with Marc Bernal only lasting 45 minutes there in that first half, and then he was replaced by Marcus Rashford coming on, so a slight change of shape there, and in terms of personnel for the second half for Barca. And then Rafinha probably only lasted about 15 minutes or so into that second half before he was replaced. Obviously, he's only just come back into the starting lineup. He couldn't play a huge amount of minutes, but he will be playing against Atleti, and like I say, his return, he was outstanding. He is a massive part of this team, and he gives me hope alone in that attacking area to really spark things into life again. And of course, we had fantastic news in the man who did replace him, Pedri, coming on for his return to the team. And I think we need him as well, because I think if you look at today's game in terms of the midfield there and the element of control from Barca's point of view, there isn't any. There's literally no control on any part of the game. And that is a worry because we're playing against Alaves at home. It's not as though here we're coming up against some super team, some juggernaut, where it's difficult to get possession, where it's difficult to sort of lock down an area of the pitch. This is Alaves at home. You would expect Barca to be able to control things, to be able to manage the game, to be able to play it on our terms. This was more like a basketball game. It was one end to the other, chances galore on both sides. Barca could have scored more today, make no mistake about it, but so could Alaves. And even then, with sort of 10 minutes or so to go, very nervous. The stadium was incredibly nervy, and that's because Barca gave them no reason not to be. And with 13 minutes to go here, there's a massive intervention from Pau Cubarsí. And yet again, I don't have to keep saying it, it's one ball. It's one simple, lofted ball over the top. Alaves are in behind Barca. They're onside. Now, what do they do? Everybody knows this now. You're one ball in behind. You run as fast as you can. Then you cut it back. It is a simple blueprint for any team playing Barca right now, and it's an amazing recovery tackle from Pau Cubarsí that stops a certain goal from close range. So like I say, even with 10 minutes or so in the game, Barca are nervous. We're up against it here. Alaves creating chances, could have easily levelled the scoring, and they were pushing forward. They were leaving more spaces. Barca were looking to counter, and in the end, Dani Olmo does put one away to make it 3-1, to finish off the game, really. And that was a very, very big relief when that happened. But I am still concerned. I still don't see a team right now that is, A, confident. The team is clearly not confident. Obviously, they wouldn't be after what happened in midweek. But I still don't see any element of control. I still don't see enough conviction in the style that we're playing. The defence is still leaky. There's still huge chances being given up. Whoever we play, it's not just about Chelsea here. It's not just about Champions League teams. We are giving Alaves multiple opportunities to score easy goals. And guys, what do you think right here today? I'm very happy that we won. Of course I am. Glad to have 3 points on the board. But we have to look more into it, because otherwise we just get surprised. It catches up with you in the end. You come up against a team like Chelsea and you get destroyed. So it's better to understand and talk about things now. What did you make of the game today? What did you make of the performance? And in terms of individuals, who impressed you and maybe who did not? I will see you soon to talk more about it all, of course. Thank you indeed, though, for the great support, and have a great weekend. But until next time, as always, Vesca, El Barça.